I know in the past I've covered, the check systems dispute process. Like I have a full-blown video here on that entire process. But through my experience, as you all know, um, and through my application, I have had success with check systems numerous occasions. But I've also run into some very unique situations. So I wanted to take the opportunity to share that with you guys, right? And not only give you a new and updated version of the check systems, but also explain to you what I've seen, what I've learned throughout this process recently that led me to researching more on what I needed to do to successfully execute this, right? So, needless to say, I'm going to go through the step-by-step check system dispute process. And, for those of you wondering, like, well, is this going to pertain to me? Well, it depends, right? Have you had bank accounts in the past? And if you had, have you had any negative bank accounts? Have you had any negative situations where you've had overcharges or you've had um, overdrafts, checks bounced, right? Significant amount of non-sufficient funds. Like all this stuff is tracked by companies like ChexSystems, right? Early warnings as well, but ChexSystems is one of those major companies that reports this stuff. Now they don't do it specifically for directly reporting it to your credit report, but it is actually used against you, right? And that's the number one thing that you guys have to keep in mind is that it's used against you. So my objective here is to show you guys the method I use to get deletions off of my check systems, as well as some new methods that I recently stumbled upon that allow me to actually process this completely because, check systems themselves actually told me what I need to do. Okay. So because check system told me what I needed to do, I was able to move forward with actually getting deletions for certain off of my file. Okay. So we're gonna get right into it. And I'm gonna dive into it. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet because a lot of this information, guys, is already in the community. So I'm not gonna like dive deep into each step. I'm simply going to point you in the right direction. So when we're dealing with the initial step of the check system, I have a video here on how to pull it up on you in check systems, right? I'm simply going to do an overview of the check systems process and what to do in this scenario so that you can properly submit this using the steps that I have available for you guys in the campus because everything is step by step. So to get started, guys, the first thing you're going to want to do is, visit ChexSystems official site. And if you don't already have an account, you just simply, you would click this link if you're in the campus and you want to register. And once you register your account, you're going to click on request your consumer disclosure report. You're going to follow the instructions to verify your identity and pull your full report. Look for negative items like closed bank accounts, unpaid fees. All right, identify any unauthorized inquiries or items that you don't recognize. Okay. So I'm going to basically show you an example of what I mean here when we're dealing with this. So this is an example of one of my old reports. And basically, as you look at it, it's going to give you your information, right? It tells you basically, the bank account here that was reported for account abuse. This was actually an account I just genuinely didn't use. And I had an automated subscription that was still attached to it. So they were taking money out of my account every month. And they were allowing money to be withdrawn, even though it was in a negative. So I ended up like negative $500 before I even realized that something was going on with the bank account, right? So what they were doing is I was getting charged, I believe it was $24 a month on a subscription. And then for every $24 they took out, they charged me $35 overdraft fee. So it was like I was getting hit $50 a pop every month for quite some time, right? For almost a year. That's, comes to show you how long I went without paying attention to this account. So hence why I had to go through this and fight it, right? I went through this and fought this. But in this particular case, um, I argued it because of the fact that, at the end of the day, I wasn't aware of these transactions, right? I wasn't aware of all this stuff happening. For the simple fact that I wasn't using the account and it could have been closed. Now, when you review your ChexSystems report, you're simply looking for negative accounts just like this, right? And they're going to have what's reported for right here. But in this particular case, you're looking at also inquiries, right? This is a very important factor to consider, guys. It says here, inquiries viewed by others. This is what other companies can see. This is what they can actually, they're reporting against you. And other companies, when they are requesting this from ChexSystems, they can see the inquiries that were pulled. Right. So that's why I highlighted it. So there's inquiries viewed only by you, which is the section refers to transactions that you or may not have initiated. I need you to keep that in mind. That you may or may not have initiated. Keep that in mind. So for this reason, you may not always recognize the source. Inquiries made by medical providers may also be included in this section. This information listed in this section is only viewable to you. It not only includes in reports to others and does not negatively affect consumer report. Inquiries viewed by others. Right? So this section refers to transactions involving you and are a result of someone accessing your check system information, right? Typically in connection with the business transaction that you initiated with them. The company listed on this type of inquiry requested information from your consumer file on the date/dates specified. These inquiries may impact your consumer report and may be included in other reports to others, right? And maybe included in reports to others. These inquiries remain on your file for up to 3 years. So these inquiries stay on your file longer than your traditional credit report. Isn't that crazy? Right? Now, it's crazy because a lot of people don't end up knowing about any of this stuff until they go apply for a business checking account. And they're like, oh, well, you have a negative score on your ChexSystems. And they're like, well, what the hell is ChexSystems? Right? Because at the end of the day, all this information can only be reported with your authorization. If you're not aware of it and someone did it without your authorization, right? Same thing with the reporting of this information. Any reporting of this information, right? You could request proof that they had authorized reason and a verified reason to report this information. So it has to be handwritten according to law, the FCRA. Because ChexSystem also follows the FCRA, guys. You got to keep that in mind that all these companies, when it comes to any reporting whatsoever, whether they're considered a CRA or a data furnisher, right? They all have to follow the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And from the very beginning, ChexSystems isn't following the Fair Credit Reporting Act because 80% of the entire United States doesn't even know what the hell ChexSystem is. But they got all this information reporting on you. Right? This is stuff they should be telling you ahead of time. You should know all this stuff ahead of time. Right? If I'm going to open up a bank account, right, they're supposed to disclose stuff like this. But on the flip side, you can argue that, some of this information is included on some of your agreements. And some people just not reading their agreement. But when it comes down to reporting of information, it's still a requirement that you have given authorization for it to be reported. It's your credit report. Only you can give authorization to that stuff. So in this particular case, we're looking at inquiries, right? So these are inquiries pulled from a variety of different places. And so that's what we're doing here, right? Step one, you're going to pull your check system report. You're going to read it to determine what's negative, what's not. And you're going to gather all this information, right? You're going to organize it the same way I teach you how to do it here, right? You can actually use the same template, right? You can basically use the same format, right? Type of account. In this can you can put bank account name, put the bank account number, the date it was opened, and the bank name. You could use the same format. And then you can use the same ChatGPT prompt to create the FTC affidavit with it, right? And that's really where we're going to end up being on this next step. We're going to create the FTC affidavit. We're going to go to FTC campus on identitytheft.gov, and we're going to basically input all this information. And I added this example here because that's what mine looked like. So you guys can leverage it, right? But I use the same template, guys. I just included the account information as well as all of the inquiries that I wanted removed. And as you can see, this is how the complete FTC report should look like, right? So this is a real life example I'm sharing with you guys that worked for me. So I wanted to make sure you guys were getting the same information. Now, this is an important step I didn't include in the last video, right? Because I showed you guys how to dispute ChexSystems using the actual letter, but I didn't include information regarding a police report, right? Because the FTC identity theft report is a crime report. It has a crime number, right? It's a government, it's a federal document, right? But this is a local police report. So you're going to also additionally file a local police report for your state that you're in. So if your bank account was in Missouri, then you want to, file a police report online and put Missouri here and search it up on Google, and it will pull up the state and it'll tell you. So for example, I'm going to give you an example here, right? So in my particular case, it was out of New Hampshire, right? And I just filed one with the Hampton Police Department. It's about an hour from where I'm at. But here, as you can see, it says, "Welcome to Hampton Police Department, Citizens Online Police Reporting Systems. This Citizen Online Police System allows you to submit a police report immediately and print a copy of the police report for free. Not all incidents can be reported through the system. So it'll filter you through. And again, I haven't filled out like 15 police reports, guys. So I wouldn't be able to answer questions like, well, how do I do it in Florida, etc. Right? You simply just have to follow the steps that I shared with you so that you can figure out which one is best for you. It's going to be different for each state, right? It's going to be completely different. But I'm just sharing with you guys how I went about mine and what I found. So you're probably wondering, like, why the hell am I filling out another police report? Well, I'll explain to you why, right? So this isn't a response that I got when I submitted a complaint, right? And when I submitted it, it was saying, no, this is actually a response I received. And as you can see, this was about a month ago I received it, or they responded and they said, our records indicate that ChexSystem has received a dispute of a consumer from the consumer, which states that information contained in the ChexSystems file is a result of identity theft. The dispute was received through the CFPB complaint ID number. ChexSystems also received a copy of the FTC identity theft report document that is attached to the complaint. The identity theft report includes a notion that states use this form to prove the businesses and credit bureaus that you have submitted the FTC identity theft report to law enforcement. Some businesses might request that you also file a report with your local police to accept the FTC report for trade line block purposes. ChexSystem does require that it be signed by a law enforcement officer, that the consumer also provide a copy of the report filed with the police, with the local police. as is standard practice when a dispute is this nature is received without a law enforcement officer signature or copy of a report filed with the local police. ChexSystems initiated an investigation of the dispute information with the sources and requested that they investigated the accuracy and completeness of the information submitted. The disputed information submitted by Clarity Services have been removed from a consumer file based on the results of the reinvestigation. The dispute inquiries submitted by the following companies have been removed. So as you can see, guys, I'm getting removals even without the actual local police report. But that was ultimately removing a lot of the inquiries. So as you could see, guys, based off of like the initial process I was teaching you, it can work, right? But when we're dealing with the account removal, whether it's for an account abuse or a very specific situation, it's going to be a little bit different. And here, as you can see, they're telling you what you need to do. They're saying, well, we received all the other documents. In order for us to proceed with the reinvestigation, we're going to need something filed with a local police report, right? And I'm showing you guys this so that you can see, I'm not just like coming up with this stuff. They're telling you exactly what you need to do, right? So as you can see that these were inquiries that were removed. Actually, they were removed up at the top. And then these were the ones that remained. So I'm not going to read the rest of this because I already read all of this. But basically what this is saying is I just need to submit the following information, which is the local police report, for them to continue the reinvestigation. So they're not refusing to perform on my request. It is just a requirement that they need also not only that, but a copy of a local police report. All right. So that's where this comes in, guys. That's where this comes in. And that's why I included these real live examples so you guys could see that even ChexSystems themselves, shared with us that that's what they need in order to process this. File a complaint with the CFPB is going to be your next step, right? So once you've received your police report, right, you've gone online to their reporting system, right? Whether that was in California or that was in, New Mexico, or you were in Missouri, wherever that was, you're going to file your local police report, right? And in that report, you're going to include very similar language as to which was used here. So just like this, right? But only you can say police report and basically use the same thing. All right. And I'll include, for you guys, I'll include a template like I always do. I'll include a template below here so you guys can have one that I submitted through the CFPB. But in the meantime, I'm just letting you know what I did. I just used similar language. I also saved the crime report from the FTC as well as the police report number from one I received from the local office. And from there, I moved on to submitting the complaint. So when we're submitting the complaint for this particular process, you're going to follow the same complaint submission process here, CFPB complaint FTC method. You're going to follow the same exact steps, click the same exact boxes, guys. It's going to be the same thing, right? It's the same thing because it's all dealing with the consumer report, right? Company used your report improperly, incorrect information on your report, right? Belongs to someone else, information, right? So all this is identity theft error. It's all identity theft related, and you're going to just follow step by step. And then when you get to this portion, I'm simply going to include the template. So I'm going to include that for you guys here in this section so that you guys can have it here in the campus and you'll be able to just copy and paste it without doing anything, right? As you all know, I make things as efficient as possible for you guys. So you just copy and paste. and process it, right? The only real things you're gonna need to do that's different for each and every one of you is pulling the local, right? Police report. You're gonna have to file it yourself in the state you're in. That's gonna be different for every single case. But as far as the method in which we use to pull your report for ChexSystems and to submit the affidavit is all the same for everyone, as well as submitting the complaint through the CFPB is going to be the same for everyone. You're simply going to use the method I shared in the FTC campus tab. So once you've submitted it, guys, you're just going to wait literally 4 to 5 business days for the results. And it's pretty straightforward, right? And my goal here was to just basically share with you that there is methods that you can use to get this stuff done. And this is one of them. But I also shared with you guys that I got results without this method. Now it did take a couple of rounds. I was using my old process, round 1 and 2. I got results on round 2, but it wasn't all of the accounts, right? But I was getting results, so it works. But the objective here is to get all of it off, right? So my goal is to always find better solutions, more efficient ways to dispute so that you guys don't have to go through multiple rounds and that you're using the most effective ways to get it done, right? And that's all going to come by through trial and error. Now, what I'm going to do at this point is pretty much just leave it up for you guys to ask questions. Did all of that make sense? Like, what are your thoughts? Again, I have a video here that went over the initial process, right? I'll revisit it to make sure, I add and anything additional if I need to, but for the most part, like this covers the initial way I did it to dispute these type of accounts off of consumer file. So any questions on that process, how all that worked? Feeling pretty good? No questions? All right, cool, cool.